Today on Lightroom Whisper Sweet Nothings Edition, I just want to take a moment to talk about the panels in Lightroom and how you can customize them depending on what you're doing to really just make it clutter-free and easier for you to work. Let me show you what I mean. When you're looking at the workspace in Lightroom, the areas at the edges are known as panels, whether it be the information where your folders and collections are living, or your film strip at the bottom, or on the right, maybe where you're putting your keywords, or you can see metadata, or at the top where you're choosing the module you're in. If you want to get rid of some of that and just look more at the picture or pictures in the center, try hitting the Tab key, and that'll hide the panels on the edge for you. If you hit Tab one more time, it'll bring those back in. Now, let's say you don't want to see those panels at all. You want to be seeing the entirety of the screen in picture. Hold the Shift key in and hit Tab one more time. Now it takes all of those panels and hides them for you. Now I can see a lot more of the images that I'm trying to cycle through here when I'm choosing a picture. If I hold Shift and hit Tab one more time, I end up bringing in all those panels. Now you can customize this a little bit depending on what you use, just to make it a little bit more clutter-free in Lightroom for your own experience. Now I rarely use the film strip down here. I can already see in my library that the grid view here shows me all of this information. So I can go down here and I can hit this little triangle on the bottom, and that'll hide my panel for me. Now, if I have this open or closed and I right-click on that panel, if you're on a touchpad, that's a two-finger click, then I have a few different options. If I go to Auto Hide is going to then allow me to come down and it will not expose that film strip until I click on that triangle. And then when I come off of the film strip or any of the panels I'm using, they'll hide at that time. Now the panel on the right over here I use a little bit more often than that film strip, but I still don't use it very regularly, at least compared to maybe my folders and collections. So in this case I want to get a little bit more real estate for my grid view here. So I'm going to come over and same thing, I can either click on that to hide it or two-finger click, right-click to bring up the menu options. And before I chose Auto Hide, now I'm going to choose Auto Hide and Show. Auto Hide and Show allows me to have it pop up when I'm going to use the panel. And in this case, let's say I'm going to go ahead and pop in a keyword. The picture I have selected right now is in Joshua Tree National Park. And now that I've written that in there, I can just come over off of that panel and it will disappear for me. Now, this is my library module. If I was to go to my develop module, it actually remembers the way the panels were set up in there. So I can have them set differently from module to module. So I'm going to click on develop. And you can see that all of my panels here, at least on the side, right and left, are open. Now, I don't really use, in this case, my history side very much. So I'm going to come over here and tell that to close. And I use it so rarely that I might just come over here and do the same right-click or two-finger click and tell it manual. Manual means now it's going to open if I click on it and close if I click on it again. So if I'm trying to look at a picture and step back through my history and then come off and zoom in on something, it's not going to keep disappearing on me and I can see the history list. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and close that panel. And in my workspace here, you can see that I have a lot larger area than if I had panels open. Now, if I just open the film strip panel, you can see this vertical shot has a lot smaller area for me to see while I'm doing my edit. So by closing that panel, I'm able to have a lot more workspace, and that's going to allow me now to see that picture more clearly. If you have a horizontal shot, same thing when you're closing those side panels, you'll see that you have more real estate to display that picture across your screen. Now to go a little bit deeper in these panels, if I was to go over here to my basic panel, and let's say I edit a few things in here. Let's just move a couple sliders. There we go. Now I want to go down to my tone curve. If I open that by clicking on it, it leaves the basic panel open and I have now my tone curve open. And let's say I want to go down to my effects. If I open that, it's all open. I still have these other panels open, which over time can just kind of get confusing. So in my case, I like to have it a little bit more cleanly displayed. If you right click or do the two-finger click on the heading of any of these panels, let's do it on the one that just says tone curve here. It doesn't matter which one. And then we go down and choose the solo mode option. Solo mode is going to make it so just one panel at a time is open. So now tone curve, the active one I'd be working with, is open. If I was to click my HSL panel, it actually closes tone curve for me and then opens HSL. If I go to basic, it closes my HSL, opens my basic panel, just leaving one open, making it a little bit cleaner to look at. Depending on where you are, this might be something you want to enable, or it might not be. Just depends on your own personal way that you like to use Lightroom. That's pretty much it. There's not a lot to it, but the way that you customize these in each module can just make it a lot more enjoyable experience when you're using Lightroom. From the Lightroom Whisperer, keep Lightrooming. Aww.